welcome to tonight's live. Today is Sunday, 7 p.m. It is the 4th of February. We're going to go over a couple of different things this evening. First off, we're going to start off with indices, move on to metals, and then Forex pairs. If you think of any Forex pairs along the way, please put it into the chat, and then we'll go over it together at the end. And also, all questions are welcome. So if you have any questions throughout this entire time that we're doing this chat session, this live session, please feel free to type it into the Discord, or even, talk in the Discord for my Discord Pro members, and feel free to ask your questions, right? So this is a casual conversation. We're doing this together. It's just a very casual live session. Don't feel intimidated by anything that's going on in the charts. If you don't understand anything, please speak up and feel free to chime in and ask questions. That's what we're here for. Now we're going to go over a couple of news in regards to this coming week. I use Forex calendar. I have it up here on the Discord. So for this week, we're going to go over the calendar, right? We're going to go 4th of February, go over all the red folder news. So very important, when you're trading your pairs, it's very important to know which are the red folder news. I always recommend that beginners do not trade news days. Reason being is that these are usually seek and destroy conditions in which both the buy side liquidity and also the sell side liquidity gets taken out. So it's a very dangerous conditions in regards to trading. Also, spread is off by a lot. So even if you have a high stop loss limit, it might trigger it even though it comes nowhere near it, right? So there's a lot of conditions that are not in your favor as a trader for news days, especially red folder news days. So try to stay out of them. I try to stay out of them. Sometimes I do have a setup that, shows up and it looks very good with the price action and also the levels. I'll take that calculated risk. But remember, whenever you're trading red folder news, it is an additional risk. And also, all red folder news with USD will affect the entire market. So it doesn't matter what pair you're trading, even if you're trading pairs that don't have any correlation to the USD whatsoever, those get affected as well by red folder news with the USD. So be very careful in those conditions and make sure your stop loss and your risk management is all set in place and squared away for red folder news for USD. Now, without further ado, let's go over the news. So it's for tonight, Sunday, we're looking at, oddly enough, right? Powell is going to speak tonight on a Sunday night, and it's a red folder news, right? Super weird, but it is what it is. Red folder news is live right now. He's speaking, so we're still waiting on that news to be posted up right now, right? Apparently, it says here FOMC rate forecast likely not change much since December. Powell highly unlikely Fed will. Okay, so still up for discussion. Powell still needs to speak on that fact, on that matter, and he has not. So we have that red folder news on the USD on a Sunday evening. Okay, Asian session. Besides that, nothing else for today. Moving into Monday. Monday, we do have red folder news right here. ISM services, that's at 10 a.m. on Monday. We also have another red folder. This is Aussie dollar, right? The Australian dollar, that's at 10:30 p.m. This is all Eastern Standard Time. You can also adjust the time frame on your Forex Factory by going into the top right, clicking it, and then putting it in your time zone, and it'll set everything to your local time. Tuesday, what are we looking at? For Tuesday, we're looking at the Canadian dollar. That's a red folder news for us at 12:45, and then we also have the New Zealand dollar, red folder news 2 times. So careful with that with New Zealand dollar. Wednesday looks like an amazing day for us to trade. Reason being is the red folder news. There's no red folder news on Wednesday, right? But you also have 3 different levels when it comes to the news. You have yellow folder, which is the least, orange folder, which is medium, and then you have your red folder, which is the highest, most volatile. Orange is awesome. Orange is good for us, right? Because you get an increased level of volatility when it comes to your plays. And it's always good to have that extra volume pushing you in the direction of your bias, right? So I get really happy when I see orange folder news. We have these 3 different orange folder news here, which should give us a good amount of volume and volatility around here for us in the afternoon if you're trading the New York session. Thursday, we have red folder again, USD. When does USD not have red folder news, right? It feels like it's always every single week, every couple of days, every single week. Thursday, we have red folder news in the morning, and then in the evening for us in the New York session, we have Australian dollar. Friday, right? I usually don't trade Fridays because in my back testing, my Fridays are my least probable of success, right? So I tend to actually have a high loss rate when it comes to Fridays, so I don't trade Fridays. But this Friday we have no red folder news, nothing really going on in the AM either for New York session, so looks pretty good. Canadian dollar is the only thing that's going on in the morning. Shouldn't really affect the market too much unless you're trading USD CAD, but that's pretty much it. Alrighty, let's jump on the charts. We're gonna jump on NASDAQ, right? NASDAQ is gonna be the first pair that we go over, our indices, and then we'll probably go over US 30 as well, right? We're gonna set a bunch of alerts. We'll start on my weekly. Weekly, what are we looking at? Weekly is extremely bullish, right? That's pretty obvious. Sorry about the pretty messy charts right here, but we were expecting a pullback that never happened, but we have those levels marked out because they're going to play out very, very well for us in the future, as long as we're paying attention and we have our alerts set, excuse me. Weekly, bullish. Let's go to the daily. Daily, bullish. Higher high, higher low, right? This is our higher low right here. This was our higher high over here, right? Breaking through the all-time high, creating new all-time highs as well. This futures all-time high chart has been blasted through. We can delete this, right? And we can confirm that we are still bullish on the daily. Now, the entries that I'd like to show you guys, I like to, mark out the 50% mark on the fair value gaps. If you don't know what a fair value gap is, it's pretty much an imbalance left over by a massive displacement, whether it be to the bullish or bearish side, right? It's going to be like these candles. You're going to see a candle like this, where nothing is testing the candle before, nothing is testing the candle after. That is called your fair value gap, right? And then usually what happens is, since it leaves that huge imbalance behind in the market, orders, there's a lot of sell orders or buy orders that need to get filled again. So they usually end up retracing back to the halfway mark of that. So check this out, right? We have this level marked down, a very important level on last week's live. And we said, right, watch this level, we're trading off this level. We marked this is our 50% mark over here. Let me just show you, right? We'll mark it. Our 50% mark was right there. But we also had an overlap with the 4-hour fair value gap. So we moved the line, our entry, up to here, which played out pretty amazing. On the daily, it tapped into it perfectly and then rejected off it massively, right? So if you're doing like swing trading, if you enter on the daily, this was an incredible daily entry right there.
Hey bro.
Yeah, so what's up?
Oh, sorry to interrupt, but I think we cannot see your chart. We are just seeing the news folder.
Oh, you can't see the chart. Oh no.
Yeah, we can just see the news calendar right now.
That is my bad, sorry.
Yeah.
So let's go over again, right? Sorry. This is your weekly, right? We're weekly right here on the NAS. And then on the daily. Let's switch over to the daily. Good call, man. I'm sorry about that. It's sometimes a little tricky switching between all these little OBS and YouTube and all that stuff. So like I was saying, over here, right, we marked out this area here. This area here where you see this line is where our 50% mark overlapped on the daily and also the 4-hour. Now if you were to set like a daily limit order, you would have played it off right here, right, on that 50% mark, and then you would have been looking for candle closures above it and then structures using the entry models that I have posted over here in the Discord as well, which I will repost again, right? Give me 1 second and I'll link it over here on the Discord. We're going to use the 8 entry models on a lower time frame in that area in order to enter that with a position going with our bias, which is bullish. So that was a beautiful play right there, and it's also mitigated. Now what can we do, right? So we're looking at the levels right now that were left over. This one has been mitigated because it's been tapped into. Let's check it out on the 4-hour, right? On the 4-hour, this is the 4-hour level on this line. It broke through, grabbed liquidity, so now the 4-hour is invalid, but the daily is still valid because it closed above it on the daily. Then you see here, you have, using the EZAlgo, you have your reverse confirmation, right? And then you have your bullish candles, bullish movement, bullish engulfing, Just a beautiful move if you were to play it off here. Now, usually what I would do is, it's always a candle that's before the fair value gap. The fair value gap is usually 3 candles, 1, 2, 3. I would put my stop loss underneath this, entry here, and then 2 to 1, right? So that's what I want to get you guys in the habit of doing. 2 to 1, 2 to 1, 2 to 1. And then this would have tapped in the same day. Boom. 2 to 1. Great. In and out. You could also do a take profit too with like 25%. Take it to the next structure, right? Structure, the structure. You would have gotten a nice, what is that, 2.7 to 1 if you were to target this structure here. Target the bodies of the candles. Don't try to target the wicks. It's more likely that'll hit the bodies. So just a little fun fact, right? A little fun way to enter these. Use those entry models that I posted in the Discord on the lower time frames of 5 and 15 minutes to be able to, you know, get your 2 to 1s on the lower time frames. This is on 4 hour. You probably could have gotten in a little bit tighter too on 15 minute. So for example, over here, once it closed above it, then you could have done it, right? 2 to 1. Now let's go into the daily. Daily, we did get mitigated. So you guys don't get confused. We did mitigate this. We tapped into it and now we're going up. Let's remove this. We remove all this stuff. Clean this up a little bit. We still have this fair value gap here that has not been tapped into and mitigated. We're gonna label this, right? This is our 50% mark. I'm gonna color this blue, and then we're gonna label it as well for a daily fair value gap 50% mark, right? So this is gonna be our daily fair value gap 50%. Let me make it all caps because I like it all caps. That's going to be our daily fair value at 50% mark. And then for you guys to add to your charts and set your alerts, these are the coordinates: 16912.07. Set your alerts on that. That's what we're going to be looking at as well. For price action to come and test in that zone, touch it, and then reject back up. You also have an order block over here on the daily, right? So this bearish candle that you see here with the wick, this area here, that's our order block. For supply and demand traders, this is good because now you're getting a confluence of this fair value gap with this order block here. And then if it taps into this area, it should reject and go back up, right? With your safety blanket being this order block over here to hold it down. You also have another fair value gap over here. Let's label this one too. Alt H. Coordinates for this one are 16453.42. This is also going to be labeled daily fair value gap 50% mark. Let me remove these red lines. I was using these for day trading throughout the week, just to clean it up a little bit more. Right? That's pretty much the only new thing that we see here when it comes to our dailies. This has been already tapped into and mitigated. Same thing with this. We can remove these. We can remove that as well. Right? Price action is a little bit cleaner now. Let's go down into the 4-hour range. What's up with the 4-hour range? Over here, we're looking left. This has been tapped into and mitigated. Tapped into that, mitigated, going up. Now we have another one over here. This one was tapped into perfectly and then mitigated up. Insane. It's insane how that works, right? This should work on all pairs. So it's the theory behind, you know, displacements and balances and limit orders needing to be filled. We're going to label this one right over here. I'm going to clean this up a little bit better as well. So instead of using a horizontal line, we're going to use a trend line. All right. So your trend line, we're going to hold shift to keep the line straight. And we're going to label this 4-hour. This is going to be our 4-hour 50%. fair value gap 50%. Let me make this a little bit skinnier because it's pretty thick. Let's make you a little bit skinnier. There we go, perfect. Right, and then the coordinates for that one are 17570.07. Make a screenshot, set your alerts. This one's gonna get tapped into soon. So if it doesn't get tapped into in the London session, it'll get tapped into on the New York session tomorrow morning. That's gonna be a nice little area that's gonna play out. And then how I would play it, right, if you're doing on the 4 hour, it's always supposed to be the candle, the first candle before it. So you have 1, 2, and 3. And then you target 2 to 1. Right? But that's pretty far out, right? That's some levels that we have never tested before. We don't have any price action there that exists in record at all for this. So what I would do is I would wait for it to come down into a lower time frame, 5 to 15 minutes, and then try to see with the entry models there, a 2 to 1 risk to reward. I don't feel comfortable placing a limit order with a take profit into an area that's never been tested before. So we'll check that out, right? Even though price action still is bullish, right? We had a nice little pullback here, retest, massive bullish engulfing candle here, and now a higher high right over here, right? And then this is the only candle body that's actually closed this high. All of these have been wicks over here in this area, so we still have bullish momentum. Let's go down in price action over here. Do another 4 hour fair value gap here. It's quite a way. Yeah, it's quite a bit away, but let's mark it too, right? We're gonna mark that there. We're gonna label that as well. This is gonna be 4 hour fair value gap 50%. Coordinates for this are 16784.11. We have those marked out. We have these fair value gaps here too. I'm just gonna combine them together. This is gonna be a good zone as well for us. And then we're gonna move this one over here. This area here, 16992.70. Guys, the indicators that I'm using are Nephew, Sam's, FVG, EZSMC, and EZAlgo V10. Right now we do have EZAlgo V11, so please be sure to use that. It's got nice updated features for you. It's just I'm comfortable using V10 with my strategy, but the latest is always the greatest. Now we have 4 hour. Let's go down into the 1 hour to see what we see. Beautiful 1 hour fair value gap right over here. Tapped into the halfway point and then rejection up. Right, so when I'm saying like lower time frame entries, you can even do it on the 1 hour, right? Even doing the 1 hour, you're gonna see like if you do like 2 to 1 risk to reward, right? First candle in the fair value gap, and then you target 2 to 1. Boom. Right, works out. And it's not a quick scalp either. It's not an in and out with 5 minutes and your heart's beating and you're like sweating and you're freaking out like, oh, is it gonna close or is it gonna hit my stop loss? Nah, 1 hour. 1 hour is chilling. Set your limit orders. And then 2 to 1 risk to reward. This has been tapped to and mitigated. Do we have anything else? We're looking left. Tapped into and mitigated. This has not been, yes, it has been tapped right there. Very, very small fair value gap. And then we also have this. What is this? It's a tiny fair value gap. We'll label it. This is very low probability, but you can probably scalp it if you're a scalper. So we're gonna identify this area for the scalpers out there. It's very small for a fair value gap. Honestly, I wouldn't play it, but we have to, we have to label it just in case, if there's a nice little play out there on the lower time frames for the 1 and 5 minute scalpers. Coordinates for this are 16992.70. And then you have the daily right underneath that. So we went over the weekly, we went over the daily, 4 hour and 1 hour. Does anybody have any questions for me in regards to NAS? Do you guys feel comfortable with those points of interest? Remember, these points of interest, we're going to set alerts on all of them. And then when price action plays out on those levels, then we're looking for entry models into going in there on the lower time frames, like 5 and 15 minutes. I posted a link into the Discord for the 8 entry models. I'm also going to post the pictures as well for you guys, so you guys can easily see them. I post them every week, right? But I always recommend these entry models just because of the fact that they're very, very good and they're extremely important in getting trades. And also, everyone has a different strategy, right? So it really depends on your strategy. But the entry models pretty much overlap between all the different strategies that are out there, and it gives you a higher probability trade. On top of the fact that you're taking already a higher probability trade by trading inside a point of interest, not just random price action. These are like valuable levels in which price action needs to be retested. Price action has been tested before, or there's a lot of limit orders there as well. Does anybody have any questions for me in regards to NAS before we move on to US30? If not, then give me 2 thumbs ups inside the chat, and then we'll move on to US30. I got 1. Let me get 1 more, and then we on. Okay. All right, Lewis. US30. Let's look at US30. Insane. Charts is a little bit messy because of the fact that we, like I said, with NAS we were expecting a pullback. Same thing with US30, but damn, look at that. Look at that weekly chart, man. Wow. Nuts. It's safe to assume that we're still bullish on US30. This candle, even though it says bearish here, the candle body is still above this previous one, right? Even though TradingView makes it seem like it's below that little bit, we're still kind of like above it, right? Daily is still bearish, right? So me, the way I see these candles is, if my daily candle is bearish starting, and then my previous is whatever it is, if this is bearish, that means I'm looking for bearish positions on the lower time frames. So we might be expecting a pullback for today. We'll see. Now let's see what we can find for points of interest on the daily. You got this all-time high that we need to move. I don't usually trade US30. I only trade it when someone really requests it. I've been trying to tame NAS for the longest, and I feel like I finally understand it a little bit better, especially working out with the higher time frames. NAS works really well with the higher time frames. NAS works really well with daily, 4 hour and 1 hour entries, and US30 seems to work the same way as well. They move in the same pattern, the same direction, but at their own pace. US30 is more violent. NAS is almost as violent, but sometimes it lags behind, or vice versa. Sometimes US30 lags behind, right? So it might do the move in 1 hour, or sometimes it might do the move in a minute. It's crazy, right? They take turns being extremely violent. So we have nothing new that's formed this past week. These levels are still valid. We're gonna go over these levels. 4 hour fair value gap over here at 38,021.37. We have this one, right? This is a nice high quality one because it overlaps with 2 different higher time frame levels. You have daily and 4 hour fair value gap 50%. This one's at 37,711.39. Then you also have this one over here at 37,394.29. That's also another daily and 4 hour fair value gap. And then we have this daily over here. This daily over here is at 36,834.08. Then you have a weekly. This is going to be a massive move right here. So we might actually be building up the nice retracement today with this bearish candle into this weekly. This weekly's at 36687.06. And then you have another 2 dailies underneath that. 36491.89. And then you have 36341.37. Let's go down into 4 hour. And guys, by the way, this is all recorded on YouTube. It's also live on a YouTube stream right now. Once I'm finished with this live session here in the Discord, I'm gonna edit it in my editing software and then upload it for you guys in Pro. You guys get first access, and then it goes live to the public on Tuesday or Wednesday. Now we're looking at this on the 4 hour. Hasn't really tapped into the 50% mark. So let's just grab this here. Right. For me, it hasn't tapped into it yet. So give me 1 second. Boom. Right. We're gonna delete this. This is what we want to focus on. So this is my 4 hour fair value gap 50% mark. I feel like it's going to retest this again because it usually does retest it. It touches into that area. This doesn't really count, right? It's off by a few pips. For me, with my rules, it doesn't count. Some people might mitigate it because it's close enough. I feel like it's still a valid zone for me. So these coordinates are 38322.26. You have a smaller fair value gap over here, but it's tiny in comparison to pretty much any other fair value gap. I'm not gonna really count it. It doesn't really count for me. What I'm expecting this price action to do is look at this beautiful wick right over here, right? And then you have this trend reversal here by EZAlgo, meaning that the trend is flipping. If you have easy oscillator, you're gonna see has a little bit more volume as well to go up, and then you're gonna get like a bearish divergence from the looks of it. So most likely thing to happen for us during London session or New York session, price action US30 comes down, retraces, taps into this area here again, might even go through it a little bit more into the order block, and then continuation to the upside, bullish upside, right? Because this thing is just on a massive bullish movement that it's just nowhere. Yeah, there's no stopping inside. I don't know. I would just go with the trend, right? The trend is your friend. So just continue with the bullish trend, and then you'll be happy. Everything else we already identified. Nothing new is pretty much formed. This beautiful fair value gap, right, has been tapped into and then rejected over here. One thing too is that I'd like to take into consideration for areas is fair value gap overlaps. What do I mean by this? It's going to have a bullish and a bearish fair value gap on the same area. So as you can see here, I have a bearish fair value gap, this huge area here, and then I have this bullish fair value gap, right? This smaller area. This is a bigger candle than this, but this area here, the overlap, this is a very important area for me, right? So this is something that I'm pretty sure not a lot of traders look into, but I do. Reason being is because I've noticed a lot of confluence when it comes to like these areas, and price action really tends to respect this area here. So pretty much it's a imbalance left over on both sides. So there's massive volumes on both sides of this little area here. So expect it to reject off it violently, right? So the fact that it broke through and now it's bullish, now I'm expecting this area to still be loaded up with so many limit orders that it's going to push this volume all the way up, right? And then this happens quite frequently on the charts too. Like you'll notice that they overlap like that. You have a bullish and a bearish fair value gap overlap, and then that area becomes a very important key area, whether it be on a higher time frame or on that same time frame, and then it just moves that price action very strongly in that direction. So always pay very close attention to that. I'm gonna leave this highlighted like that because I really do enjoy these areas. All the other things, all the other points of interest on US30, we went over them already. I marked them out with you. We called out the coordinates. If you need them again, go over the YouTube, right? And then just go over the video, take your screenshots, set your limit orders, Set your alerts on those areas so you can trade them on lower time frames. Now, does anybody have any questions for me on US30? If not, give me 2 thumbs up. We'll move on to gold. And I know, Soul, you wanted to go over some gold. Let's go over gold together. 2 thumbs up, and then we'll move to gold. Let's go to gold. We're gonna go on the daily. What's the daily telling me? Daily is telling me that we just formed a lower high and our price action is moving in a bearish trend. We tapped into this daily fair value gap over here, which is beautiful. Right? Hopefully you guys caught this. This beautiful daily fair value gap. We're gonna remove this because it's been mitigated. Do we see anything else on the daily? This daily fair value gap has been tapped into. That was with red folder news. Let's remove these OTE fibs. My optimal trade entry fibs. Do I see anything else nearby for price action on the daily? I do not. Everything's been mitigated. Tapped into, mitigated. Tapped in, mitigated. Tapped in, mitigated. Tapped in, mitigated. Right? Daily's clean. No real price action. I do have this area here highlighted. This red area. Coordinates are between 2061 and 2079. Reason being is that this area is a nice buy side liquidity area. This order block here I also put for my daily. This entire area has been rejected. The highest candle body is right over here at 2077, right? So I'm expecting whenever price action comes into this area, I am bearish because it's overextended at an extreme premium. Right? We always want to short premium and we always want to long discount zones, right? That is law. Let's go down to 4 hour. 4 hour fair value gaps. This one's been tapped into. This one has not been tapped into. This is at 2082. We can probably label that one. Let me lock this so it doesn't go anywhere. 2082. Let's label it, right? We're gonna color it red, and we're gonna enable it 4 hour fair value gap 50% mark. Could play out to be an important area for us, but for now we'll just leave it up there, just so it's marked out. And then as you can see right here in price action, right, this is what I noticed. Price action here, once it was rejected off here with this fair value gap, tapped into rejected, tapped into rejected, tapped into rejected. So this area here has just been rejecting everything off it. So we've been very bearish every single time we get into this area. We have this fair value gap over here. We're not tapped into yet. Right? This one's been left over. This fair value gap here is at 2046.37. I'm expecting price action to tap into that. It hasn't tapped into it, right? You still have a little bit more area. I'm expecting price action to tap into this and then seek out the sell side liquidity. So in a perfect world, I'm looking at it like this. And then so you're free to chime in if you see something I don't. But this is how I would play this out, right? Target sell side liquidity at this candle body, not the wick. And then call it a day. That's your 2 to 0, 2 to 1. But you can also do this here. Keep it nice and tight, and then target this sell side liquidity here. Body. That's a 2.5 ratio. Now this fair value gap, it's supposed to respect it on the 4 hour. So in theory it's supposed to tap into this level and then continue down until it taps into some more liquidity and then comes back up with a retracement. So keeping it tight. Stop loss could work in your favor. You might need a little bit of extra room here just in case it goes above it. But if it goes above this area here and closes, then you're bullish and then you're targeting the all-time high. Right? You're targeting to these levels here, the 2077, 2082 levels. So just keep that in mind. So 2046.37, that's my bearish entry. I'm I'm bearish on this play, bearish fair value gap, right? We just did a market structure shift over here, and then we have a bearish fair value gap there. What else do we see? This has been tapped to and mitigated, tapped to mitigated. Not a whole lot going on, right? We have this daily 4-hour fair value gap over here, 50% mark. That should get tapped into. Make sure to add these levels to your charts, guys, and set your alerts as well. This one is your daily and 4-hour fair value gap. Coordinates for this is 1952.43. It's going to be an important level for you. And if you look left, you're going to see why. A lot of wicks in this area on the 4-hour. Tapping into candles closing below, candles closing above. Very, very important area. Now, another important area that I want you guys to absolutely have your alerts and alarms set to. Your alerts and your price action, whatever. Label it, put your alerts 1879.49. This is a weekly fair value gap. It is very low, but when price comes here, you absolutely need to find a way to buy. Look for your entry models. Make sure you get into with the right confluences. But this is going to be an extreme discount zone, and the fact that it's overlapping with a weekly fair value gap, guys, it's a perfect buying opportunity. It could happen this year, it could not, but have this set, have your alerts set. Label your alerts, because sometimes I make my alerts and I don't label them, and then when they go off, I don't know what's going on, right? Label your alerts, it's very important. Set that. You also have this one here too, but since we're seeking the weekly, it might just pass straight through it, right? This one's at 1898. This is a daily and a 4-hour. Daily, 4-hour, and weekly overlap. Right there, right? So like for a 4-hour, for a scalp, lower time frames, day trading, that could be playing out. And then seek and destroy at 1879.49. That's going to be the biggest play right there. Now, what do we see on 1 hour? Let's check it out. Same thing. The 1 hour and the 4-hour fair value gap overlap perfectly. So let's label that. For 1 hour, fair value gap 50% mark. Nothing else pretty much going on. Ranging over here on the 1 hour. Yeah, so that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, we're looking for bearish positions. We're looking for it to reject off there again, and then seek the sell side liquidity on the 4-hour. Right over here at 2010, and then also 2001, but we're gonna go for the body. So 2004, 2010, we're looking for price action to come and test out those areas there. All right, guys, any questions for me with gold? Do you guys feel comfortable with gold? Not much going on like NAS and US30 when it comes to gold, which is pretty good, right? It's better for some of the day traders. We got Big Mink. He's typing a question in the Discord. How do I make it so it saves this stuff on my chart? Oh, Mink, you gotta go along with me and do the indicators. Do you have a subscription to TradingView by any chance? Because if you don't have a subscription to TradingView, then you can't save anything to the charts. You kind of have to like mark up the charts every single time, and it gets kind of annoying too because you have to add the indicators manually and all that. So definitely, you know, add it to your TradingView. Get a subscription. Excuse me. It just goes away, and you have a subscription. That is odd. I would definitely contact TradingView or post some videos on YouTube on TradingView. Because look, what I would do is like over here, I'll make a list. In this list, you pretty much select whatever you're doing, right? So I have one dedicated for Blowfin, which is crypto. I have one for Mexi, which is crypto, which I no longer use. So let me remove that. And then I have one just for Forex ACAP pairs, right? ACAP is my broker. Add it there, and then add all my pairs over here. Right, I search by a symbol, add it into here, and then I add everything to my charts. Is there a setting to keep drawings on? It's on by default. the drawings don't delete themselves. So it's kind of like it's a pain to actually remove drawings sometimes. You can go down here in the bottom left and click remove drawings, indicators, drawings, and indicators. You can also hide them. Hide drawings, hide indicators, hide positions and orders, hide all. Right, so I can do that, hide drawings. And I have my indicators.
Yeah, maybe I can help you. What's your name, bro?
Big Mink.
If you go to the settings and you can select like auto save. Click on that for saving the drawings.
That's a good question, yeah, because I've never seen that. It's always been automatically for me, so I thought that was on by default.
Yeah, if you see the settings, yeah, and left, to say left button from that.
This one here? Quick search,
More
chart
left.
settings.
Once more. Next to the quick search. Yeah. Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Auto save option. Just turn that on.
I never knew that was an option to like remove that. Big Mink, is that enabled for you?
Yeah, just check that. Maybe that would work for you.
That could be it, yeah. All right, let's move on to Euro USD. Looking now, cool. What are you looking at? USD. We are bearish. Let me clean up these charts a little bit. When did this tap into? In December. OB entry zone. It tapped into that. That's mitigated. This area here has been mitigated. Let me clean this up a little bit for you guys. Mitigated. Oh, that's beautiful. Take profit 1, take profit 2. So I have a weekly fair value gap. It closed under my weekly. So my candle body closed under my weekly candle closed under it. So now we are confirmed bearish, right? That's gonna be our market structure shift. This candle over here, there's another weekly candle. So I'm expecting this to close underneath this. And then that's gonna be a confirmation for our market structure shift. So we are bearish. Also, if you're looking at the chart on the weekly market structure, you don't have to be a pro to see this, but this is a higher high. This is a lower high, right? So we went from this higher high, and then we created this lower low, and then we created this higher high, lower high, excuse me, higher low, and now it's a higher high, but in comparison to this, it's a lower structure. Now the structure is building another lower low, and a continuation down. I'm looking for bearish positions. I feel comfortable with bearish positions, right? So this is on the weekly. Let's go down to the daily. What's my daily telling me? Massive chop here, massive chop. Daily had a fair value gap over here. This is like the first week of January, 50% mark. It's been tapped to and mitigated. Over here, it's just been chopping up, chop, 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 chop. We have this daily 4-hour and 50% daily and 4-hour fair value gap over here, the 50% mark. Looks like it's tapped into it. It might actually reject off it. All right, it looks pretty strong. The fact that it broke through this weekly fair value gap doesn't give me too much confidence in anything really being bullish, right? So I'm looking for bearish positions. Don't really see anything else here on the daily besides this one. This is a daily and a 4-hour fair value gap overlap. The coordinates for this are 1.05985, right? Set alerts on that. You can set your alerts by pressing this little plus mark. And then boom, you have an alert set. Don't really see anything else happening on the daily. Let's move on to 4-hour. 4-hour, since I'm looking for bearish positions, right? And it's confirmed over here, market structure shift, bearish. We're gonna label these two. Right, this over here, this is a bearish candle, bearish engulfing, and also you have your fair value gap, the 50% mark over here. Actually, you know what, let me use this trend line, try to keep it as clean as possible. Hold shift, Bring it out over here. We're gonna label it red because we're looking for bearish positions. Then we're gonna label it as well. We're looking at a 4-hour fair value gap 50% mark. Coordinates for that are 1.08445. Price action should in theory come up and test it and then continue to the downside. Now, I don't know why it's not overlapping it. Whatever, it is what it is. That's where it's at. Then you also have this one over here too. This one's not as big as the previous one, so it's not as high quality, but you can probably get a scalp out of this on a lower time frame. We're not going to ignore this one either. So we're going to label this as well. This is going to be also 4-hour fair value gap 50% mark. And then the coordinates for this one are 1.08004. Beautiful. Those are the bearish positions that we're looking at. I'm not going to go into 1 hour. 1 hour is going to be pretty choppy, right? Not really seeing much in the 1 hour. Let's keep it on the 4 hour and the daily before this because it's really, really choppy. And so we can get the highest probability positions possible. This weekly fair value gap 50% mark, tapped into, mitigated. I'm going to keep it labeled because it looks like a very important level for us. I'm going to label it white because it's been mitigated, so I'm not expecting anything out of it, but I just want to keep an eye on that zone to see how price action reacts around it. We do have some red folder news this week, so we'll see what price action is going to do. I'm expecting price action to either tap into this fair value gap and reject, or tap into the next one, which is the most probable one, and reject off it. I also use FEB retracement tools. So overlapping my extreme premium and my discount zones, this is in a premium zone right here. So it's in with the confluences of the bearish time bias, the bearish bias. We're in a premium, and then there's a fair value gap. Those three overlapping makes me feel very comfortable to get into this area here, right? But you can also have price action rejecting off here as well. Does anybody have any questions for me with Euro USD? We went over the weekly, daily, and the 4 hour, right? Kind of choppy, but we're on a bearish movement. We're looking for bearish positions. If not, give me 2 thumbs up. And then also I need 2 submissions from you guys for Forex in the chat. Let me know which pairs you guys want me to go over. We're going to go over 2 different Forex pairs. Let me know which pairs you guys want to go over. All right, we're gonna go over GBP JPY. Where you at? Where you at? This shit's so violent. It's crazy. Oh no, people like playing this one. People like trading this GBP JPY because the volatility, but honestly, like I can't get a good pattern to it. I don't enjoy trading GBP JPY. So let's look at it on the weekly. What does weekly tell me? Weekly we're doing higher highs, higher lows, higher high, higher high. Weekly I'm still bullish until I am not, right? We just formed another higher high ish. No, we just formed equal highs. So those are equal highs right there in GBP JPY. Bearish. Let's go down to daily time frame. Daily time frame, we tapped into and mitigated this daily 4 hour, 1 hour fair value gap. This is really high quality for me. So the fact that it broke through like that violently and just ate up all this is insane. But remember guys, like I told you, fair value gaps is 3 candles. We put our stop loss beneath the first candle. So this is our second candle, the fair value gap. This is our first candle. If you would have done that on the daily candle or even the 4 hour candle, you still would have been good, right? This would have been right over here. But maybe not, right? Because when you have red folder news, the spread's so wide, that would have probably tapped into your stop loss. So that trade is no good. So this one, it's been mitigated. Pretty bad too, so just gonna remove that completely. Do I have anything else? No, just this over here and then the one underneath it. Coordinates for this daily fair value gap 50% is 182.473. Underneath it, you're gonna see another daily fair value gap. It's 180.836. We're gonna go down to 4 hour. Mitigated here. This has been mitigated already. Tiny fair value gap, not really gonna count it. Mitigated here. This is still live, but it is so small. You know what? Let's label it, right? Let's label it. You never know. This one might actually play out because you have some confluences. You have a structure on the left that it's pretty much broken through. And color this blue. Coordinates for this are 184.216. This is a 4 hour fair value gap 50% mark. That's pretty much it. And then you have this one here. There's a daily 50%. 180.836. Don't see too many points of interest playing out for us on GBP JPY. Fair value gap over here. It's pretty tiny on the 1 hour. We'll label this one too for the scalpers out there. Color that blue. I'm going to label it 1 hour fair value gap 50%. Coordinates for this one are 185.960. And that is it for GBP JPY. I did have some limit orders as well that I set with the daily. Right, I set these limit orders right over here. If you guys want to take a screenshot, that's what I'm looking at. This one's going to be a 2.9 risk to reward ratio. This is not a signal, this is just areas I'm looking at.
Actually very good limits that did activated for me also, so they are still valid, to be honest.
Yeah, they're still valid for me. They're on the higher time frame, but you're looking at the same. So I have these two. I usually do 2 entries when it comes to my DCAs.
But overall, this pair is very bullish, so we still have to manage our risk while taking the trades.
Exactly. And yeah, just trade with the trend, right? We're still very bullish. Just look for bullish positions. And then when price retraces, just look for a way to get into it in a bullish position on the way back. Let's see, one more pair. Let me get it one more pair, guys, and then we'll go over it. I like to do pairs that I don't usually look at on the lives. Because usually what I do is I trade during the week. I do NAS, I do gold, Euro USD, and that's pretty much it. But there's some pairs that usually pop up that, you know, other people trade. They're pretty good. You know what? Let me go over USD JPY. Let's check this out. We're looking at the daily. This fair value gap has been tapped into and mitigated, but now we have another fair value gap that's forming over here. We are bullish. We have a weekly fair value gap over here. Did we tap into that already? No, we have not. So check this out on USD JPY. I have this area here that's marked out. This is a weekly fair value gap. It's at 143.137. Underneath that, you have a daily fair value gap. It's at 142.526. We are bullish. This weekly was created, but it was tapped to and mitigated. So we're not gonna label that. We're still bullish though. We have these two different fair value gaps over here that we're expecting price action to tap into it and then see some kind of rejection. And then this one too, tap into it and see some kind of rejection. But best case scenario, taps into it, candle closes above it, and then continuation to the upside, take out buy side liquidity, and then a retracement, right? So kind of like this, tap into it, then take buy side liquidity, and retrace, and then continuation to the upside. That's a weekly fair value gap. That has a lot of volume, right? It holds a lot of merit. So we're expecting some price action to do something kind of like that. Daily, that's pretty much it for the daily. These two, I don't know. Market structure shift already to bullish. We're doing bullish momentum. Yeah, we'll label it, but I'm not expecting it to really hold the price action down too much. So let's label them, mark them out, and see what happens on the lower time frames. Right, so you're looking at 150.176. Oops. Nearly for value got 50% mark. And then this one is 149.039. Let's check it out on the 4 hour. About the same, nothing else really for me on the 4 hour. 4 hour, excuse me. 4 hour, we have these two different fair value gaps here. This actually might get tapped into during this session or tomorrow's session, New York session. We're gonna label these and we're gonna mark them out. Get my trend line, hold shift, and it's gonna make the line straight. And then over here too. Trend line, hold shift, and then it's gonna make the line straight. Coordinates for the first one are 148.117. Second one is 147.243. Let's label these for our fair value gap. And then these are going to be our points of interest in the 4 hour. These might get tapped into London session and New York session, but do expect these to get tapped into soon. And then what we're looking for price actions to do is to go with the trend right. Tap into these low areas here, these points of interest, and then continue to the upside. And then hopefully just taps into and breaks through the daily fair value gap 50% marks. That's what we were expecting price action to do. And it kind of looks like it's going that way too. So I'm pretty confident that it's going to do that. Now guys, does anybody have any questions for me on what USD JPY? I completely forgot what Forex pair we were on. USD JPY. Or any question on what we went over today in regards to, displacement, fair value gaps, order blocks, the basics. Feel free to ask me now. This is pretty much the type of forum that this is for, right? So our Discord server is made so our users can learn with each other, make each other better traders, and ask a lot of questions, right? So feel free to ask as many questions as you want. That's what I'm here for. I'm gonna give you guys a couple seconds. If not, then give me some thumbs up, and then that's gonna be it for me tonight. All right, guys. Looks like we're good. Looks like we understood, tonight's points of interest, and we're pretty confident, pretty comfortable in regards to, our trading and charts and what we're looking for. So if you guys have any other questions, mark them down. We'll go over it throughout this entire week through the Discord. Keep your eyes out on those points of interest. These are vital key areas for us. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. I'll see you again next Sunday, same time, same place here on EZAlgo. Thank you very much for joining me tonight, guys. Have a great rest of your week and have a very profitable trading week as well.